Time to do what?
Hey,
Mike.
hey, what's up, baby?
I'm not trying to blow smoke up your butt. That was the most sexiest intro I've ever seen. But it was also a minute and a half, dude. It was a fucking minute and a half.
It was. I made that shit on my own. I was like, you know what? I gotta
It was
represent
good
it the way I
though.
wanted it.
It was very good. It was
You know
like
what the problem is?
one of those movies that's like 3 hours and you're like,
Yeah.
that was long, but it was a good movie though.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The problem is like the beat towards the end, you know, when it goes da-na-na-na, like that shit takes forever to get there. And I was like, man, bro, like, I can't just end it in the middle of
Just
it.
waiting for the hook.
Yeah, man, it just would not come, brother. But you know what is coming, Chef?
Let's fucking edging everybody.
The fucking MLB trade deadline is here. You know, I'm doing a show with my boy Shefty. So, you know, this is a rated R episode. We're gonna be real, we're gonna be honest, we're gonna be talking that talk.
It's that late night tip, you know
late night. But you know, we got a lot to talk about, man, and I'm excited about it. First, I want to ask you, 2024 season, Philadelphia Phillies, how you feeling? Not only as a fan, but a content creator. How have you been living? What's going on with you, man?
Yeah, dude, things are good. My wife's pregnant with twins. I have a 1.5-year-old daughter, so things about to get crazy, really crazy. Phillies, love watching them, dude. Fell in love with them, 3 years ago. They've been struggling. It's a rough patch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I pride myself in trying to be one of the most logical, coherent Phillies fans around the area because if you listen to a lot of talk radio, they jump off the edge of the bridge, after every game. And I don't like to be like that because it's like it's baseball. It's 162 games. It's very long. You're going to have ups and downs, ebbs and flows. So I said, dude, I got about another week left of patience and perseverance and positivity. And then maybe I'll start being like, all right, what's going on? But yeah, haven't been good. Haven't won a series in almost a month. Lost a lot of the first games. Yeah. But I'm still positive, dude. Everything looks great on paper. This is what I told my wife. I'm like, dude, it is 90 degrees outside. It's July 29th. I've been playing baseball for the last 8 days straight. I fell asleep on the plane last night. Like, this is what the guys go through, dude. It's playing baseball every day. Football is very easy to scrutinize. It's once a week. You watch the Bears, you watch the Eagles once a week and see how they perform. If they lost 3 games in a row, I'd be concerned. It's a long season, dude. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You know this. So
yeah, I mean, like in that same breath, in the last 2-3 weeks, the Cubs have swept the Orioles and won the series against the Royals. But I'm still sitting here tonight saying we're not doing shit this season. You know what I mean?
And that's I think that's being realistic. I think that's being a smart, realistic fan.
It's really what it is. So, you gotta take the wins. Take the wins when you got them because there's not a lot of them that going around. And you talk about football. I mean, hey, when the Bears win, I'm getting lit like it's 1985, brother, because a win is a win. We won 3 games just a year ago. You know what I mean? So, like, you got to celebrate when it comes by. But
like the biggest thing I think is having an owner that is a baseball fan and is trying to win. And the Cubs have that and the Phillies have that. So that makes it a lot easier to be a fan of because like we're going to talk about Isaac Paredes. Yeah, we're not going to make a push this year, but guess what? We have our third baseman for the next 3 years. That's awesome. Finding these teams that you can pillage their players off of that they're ready to give up. Well, I got under team control for another 2 or 3 years. Right.
And I think
you have these owners that are trying to win baseball games, thinking about the future. And we talked about the Cubs that they didn't sign Bryant, Rizzo, Javi, Schwarber. 3 of those 4 paid off. So you got to think and have some trust in your front office.
I think the biggest L in that whole conversation is Schwarbs, just because you didn't get anything for Schwarbs. You just let him walk because you didn't want to pay him $8 million. Like that's the one that definitely stings. But I will disagree with you in a couple fronts because it does at times. It feels like at times, bro, that we don't have an owner that loves baseball. You know what I mean? It really does. It feels like after 2016, you really got at least from my perspective, we got complacent with, hey, listen, at the end of the day, this is our first win in over 108 years.
Well,
Like,
there is a big relief after that
right.
for
But
sure. There's a
but
big
when
relief,
you
but they were also competitive for the next couple of years,
Sure, but
right?
that wasn't because of anything they did. You know what I mean? That was what they already had, the group that they put together. You
And
got Darvish, sure you got, a bunch of guys, and that's cool. But when I see the Marquee Network coming together, which shout out to
mm,
my guys at Marquee, they do amazing work. They build a hotel across the street. Now they have a DraftKings casino inside, which it would be better if it was cut. But regardless, that's not the shameless plug. But I think like it's just like sometimes you watch the Mets who pay how much money just to have DeGrom and Scherzer not on the roster. And then obviously going after so many players, Shohei Ohtani gets $700 million. You have Yamamoto getting 3. And it's like, we're the Chicago Cubs, brother. You know what I
I
mean?
know, but Mike, let's look at the window. That's what I'm talking about. So they
Window, I
won,
get it.
the window got competitive in 2015, right?
Right,
Went to the NLCS against the Mets, got swept. That's the window. 2015 to 20 what? 18 was
right,
their last a playoff appearance or playoff win. That's your window. So that's your opportunity to win. Then the window closes and you need to rebuild. And that's how we see it with tons of
100%.
sports because that's just how things go. If you're going to be shit, then you have to step it up and then you get
Right,
these prospects. And the best prospects came from the Cub system. They're like, well, our farm's empty. And it's like, well, you did your job. You
yeah,
fostered all these players to be awesome and they're on your major league field right now.
right.
So that's exactly what you wanted.
I'm with
And
it.
that was their window. And like now, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit harder. It's so hard to win, dude. Look at these two wild card teams that went to the World Series last year. Like it's not easy. You can pay all this money and still get out in the NLCS, especially if you have the first round bye. I want to talk about that later
We will. We will be
about it.
talking about that for sure.
But you see what I'm saying? It's just like
I'm
you
with
have
it.
to reset after a while,
Right.
and he's also Mike. Ricketts is investing in real estate around the stadium. So you got to look at that too, right? Like, sure, the product on the field is important, but I'm building Hotel Zachary and I'm taking off these rooftops and I'm putting up these ads over here. And then I'm going to have
Shout out to the
financials.
rooftops. Shout out
Yeah,
to
I'm
the
going to have
rooftops.
financial stake in this hotel
Yeah.
and I'm going to be part owner of that restaurant. And, they build it like Wrigley World. I lived there when it was Wrigleyville and now it's Wrigley World. And it is awesome. And it's an extravagant corporate kind of thing. But when I lived there, it was a neighborhood and it was an awesome feel.
Yeah.
It's still great regardless. But
That's
anyway,
crazy you said that because we were actually doing a pod a couple weeks ago and I said exactly that. I don't know if you saw that one, but I said it's like
no,
we grew up with the McDonald's, with the
Taco
Popeyes, with
Bell, that took
Taco Bell, all over the place.
forever. Worst Taco Bell in the country, hands
It
down,
was,
dude.
but you know what? When you're
45 minutes to get like a
hey,
gordita crunch.
hey, when you're smacked at 1:20 in the afternoon, it's the best Taco Bell in the world. I'll tell you
Sure, it
that.
just took forever. I'm like, dude,
It
I'm
did.
just
It
gonna go to
did.
the Cubby Bear, dude. Let me know when
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
ready.
No, for sure. But it was one of those things where I even said, like, it does feel like, the Disneyland versus Disney World. Like, it was Wrigleyville, and now it feels like Wrigley World, and it really does.
And it's still
And
cool though.
it's
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 like just
great. It's
way
different.
improved. It's
I
like
mean,
AI shit.
yeah, it's incredible. And like working there, I've seen it grow and seen it change for so long. Remember when I couldn't even take a piss by right field side because they were
Without
building
pissing
the
on some
draft game.
ice.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it was rough, and it's like I think for me, it's you got to understand to do both. You know what I mean? And sometimes, to your same point, like let's look at. I know it's an anomaly here, but you look at the Texas Rangers, right? The Texas
Mhm.
Rangers have Jack Leiter, and they have Wyatt Langford, some of the best top prospects in all of baseball. Cool, we're rebuilding, but fuck that. We're gonna get Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. We're still gonna trade for Scherzer and Degrom. We're still gonna be able to do all these things. And you're an organization that doesn't have that president in doing that in the past. The Chicago Cubs, we can do both things. Like we talked about it behind closed doors, obviously with Germ, and we talked about the 6 teams that are interested in Blake Snell, which we'll get into that in a little bit. See if that's shot or no shot. Is Blake Snell getting dealt? But the big thing there is like everyone's like, oh well, he's gonna get 30 million next year. He's not gonna be a long-term thing. I'm like, hey man, listen, if at the end of the day, the Dodgers are sniffing around right now about Blake Snell, whether or not their window is the next 5 years or the next 10 years or the next year. They're going to be interested in him just for that exact reason. So, like, I hear what you're saying. I love the Ricketts. I love what they do. There's a lot of different conversations about, what direction the team is going to go in. And I think you would agree, especially, being a Cubs fan for as long as you were. It's like, we kind of felt like after 2018, Theo Epstein was kind of just like, meh, I'm bored. I'm
Well,
bored. I don't know what I'm doing.
he opted out of the last year of his
Yeah.
contract for that. So, like he's not living out his contract. He doesn't like where this is heading, what we're going to do. And he dipped. He was like, I'm going a year early.
Mm-hmm.
Jed's in charge. I'm out. And bro, I cannot wait till he comes back to baseball. I hope he becomes commissioner one day. That would be the best.
It would be the
If
craziest thing in the world.
if
It would
fucking
be
Theo
great.
Epstein was a commissioner of baseball, it would be beautiful.
I mean, yeah, but it's
But
it's
what I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say, this is a little bit off track, but bro,
Sure.
have you been keeping up with Trevor Bauer?
I
Bro,
have,
if you
and
see
it's
him on social media,
yeah,
he struck out 12 dudes in this Mexican league, and
yep,
like he records it all. He's got
yeah,
his earpiece in. He's like slider. He's like, oh, got to throw this up.
yeah. You saw what's his buddy,
Quality,
the JUCO guy that's always
yeah,
with him. He
Eric
was
Sim,
he was catching for him. I was like, oh my god, bro, this is
yeah.
awesome. Like
No,
there.
this was in his Mexican league that he was
No, I
playing
know.
in.
He was
Yeah.
with him in the Mexican league. He was on
Mm,
the team. And I was like, what the fuck
okay.
is even happening? Like, it was the funniest thing in the world. Like, what he's doing right now, and I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea. But it's definitely one of those things where like he's making sure like he's not going silent. You know what I mean? Like he's not just going
Yeah.
to disappear. Like he's building his own brand. He's doing it
Well,
in different ways. And I think it's interesting for sure. But if I'm gonna ask you this question.
all right.
If
I was gonna say
today,
just real quick before you
go
answer
ahead.
the question, Mike. It's just funny how some people remember some stuff and forget other stuff. Marcelo Zuna, take away the DUI. Look at all of his other charges. Guy was in the home run derby. No one cares about it. When the
Yeah.
Cubs traded for Aroldis Chapman, shot a gun right next to his girlfriend's ear. Nobody cares about that because he came into close for the World Series. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But
So
that's what I'm gonna say. So
that's cool. But
if
sorry to cut you
Manfred's
off by your
gone,
question.
you're good. If Manfred left today, right, and he's just gone, GM, new ownership in baseball, new commissioners. Hey, if Theo Epstein is the commissioner of baseball tomorrow morning, Shefty, does Trevor Bauer get a job in Major League Baseball?
Probably not tomorrow. No. Because I think you got to get all the teams on board for all that stuff.
Yeah,
They pretty much band together and saying like, "Hey, we're not going to pick this guy up, right? We're all
yeah,
going to band and be like, nope, we're against this, right? Okay." And I think that's just whether you get blackballed or not. And
yeah.
we saw with Addison Russell. Addison Russell got blackballed. Of course, he didn't like perform up to you know
Well, I
these
live
other
I
standards,
live by
but
this rule, and this is all of sports. I think it goes further than just baseball, and this isn't my opinion. This is just the way baseball goes. You can do one of two things. You can be a horrible human or a horrible player, but you can't be both because that's when
right,
people start to fucking hate you. So Addison
right.
Russell, I mean, let's be completely honest here. The guy was a piece of shit human, and that's it. It is what it is. But coming off of 2017, he just fell off the face of the earth, and I think that's a huge part to you brought it up. Like Ozuna has his issues, Chapman has his issues, and they still get picked up by other teams. Addy never even got an opportunity with a AAA team or anything. They just said, yeah, I think this kid, whatever happened to him, happened to him. And I think that goes kind of further into like from what I've heard from other people. It's a lot bigger because you talk about teams mentally evaluating you, and they do they have like psychiatrists come talk to these players and stuff. And I can't speak on that for Addy, but I would imagine they probably had him talk to several people, and if he didn't seem sincere or see the wrong in like what happened, that
Mm.
probably plays a huge role into it. But we talked about it the other day, and we're getting into it. Isaac Paredes, let's talk about it, bro. And Christopher Morel is no longer a Chicago Cub. What was your biggest takeaway from that happening? Obviously, we're giving Tommy Hotovy a hug, giving everybody a hug in the dugout. He's out of there, but getting Isaac, you talked about it. You had him on your fantasy team. What do you see for the Chicago Cubs for the new third baseman of the future, first third baseman and first player to wear 17 since Chris Bryant? So some a little spicy there.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we talked about that earlier when you're looking for team control, right? So you're looking for these teams. The Rays are in a better position than the Cubs right now for their division or for wild card, whatever it is. They're in a better spot than the Cubs. Cubs are buying right now because Isaac Paredes has 3 years of control on his
Mhm.
contract. So now we're going to give up a hitter who's hitting under 200. He's hitting 199 in Christopher Morel. He is electric, dude. He's so lovable, and that's the reason why it was so hard. I'm sure you saw like the stuff on social media, the little kids crying. They're like, Christopher Morel
Yeah,
is gone. I mean, like that stuff is,
I'm gonna cut you real quick though. Let me tell you something.
yeah.
I don't give a fuck about that shit because like Jed Hoyer numbed guys like me and you. I give no fucks about kids crying about Christopher Morel because I remember and you remember a week in July when all of our boys, Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, all of them shipped.
Mm.
It was the fattest fucking Band-Aid anybody's ever ripped off. So when Christopher Morel gets traded, as much as it hurts, I think for the newer fans, the younger fans, you're
Yeah.
distraught, your boogers are everywhere, you're crying, you're throwing up. Yeah, it's horrible. But for guys like me and you, we're like, man, ain't nothing beating summer 2021. That was
Mike, I'll
insane.
be honest with you. I'm pretty realistic guy, dude. Like
Yeah,
I can differentiate sports from life. I'm like,
of course.
if they lose, dude, all right. Like I still got to pay bills. It's fine.
Right.
But I have never felt more of a like physical, emotional pain from when all those guys got traded.
It hurt.
Honestly,
It
that
hurt.
was the biggest like heartbreak in sports that I have had in my entire life. Like I felt not to get like I'm just like like I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God, like Rizzo's not a Cub anymore, and Bryant's not a Cub anymore. Like I fucking love those guys, like Brizzo, all that stuff, like that
Yeah.
whole time during Wrigley, and I lived there, and it was just like the culmination. And when they won the World Series, it was a generational World Series. Me, my dad,
Remember.
my nanny, 3 generations of Cubs fans watching that together. It was like
Yeah.
very special that like Boston fans don't understand because they win all the time. It's like we waited 108 years. So it was very special,
Yeah.
when they did that. So
You remember when we stole the Taco Bell sign? Okay, it wasn't me. It wasn't me, but I was watching that shit happen. But everybody was drunk out of their mind. We're celebrating at Wrigley, and all I see is the Taco Bell sign floating away. And I was like, "Wait,
right,
hold on." I'm like, "How?" I'm 16, so drinking a little too much of the Kool-Aid.
right.
But I'm like, "Man, bro, someone just stole the Taco Bell sign," and my boy's like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Man, I don't know. Like that's crazy." But like that's how lit people were. We were just climbing up street poles. We were going crazy. I saw one girl do a backflip off a street pole. No one caught her. But she's all right.
But,
She bounced back up. But
but Mike, those
it was
contracts
beautiful.
Cubs paid off, dude. So
Yeah.
you can't be upset about it as much as it hurt and
No,
stuff. Like
of course.
they came out on the right side. If they paid for all those guys, it would have been a disaster.
Yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
who knows? Could
talk
have been
about the
something
Bulls.
different in Chicago as opposed to them going to Colorado or Detroit or whatever.
Yeah.
Could have been a different situation, but from how it turned out, Cubs did the right thing as
Yeah.
an organization. So
And
you have to credit them for that.
yeah, and I think in that same breath, we talk about that all the time about like the last dance of the Bulls. Who was Dennis Rodman going to be after 1999? Michael Jordan on the Wizards was solid, but like, is Scottie Pippen on the Trailblazers? Like they weren't who they were following that. So you knew it
Right.
was coming eventually. And I think with this team, you knew very quickly after 2018 that it wasn't going to stand long. I think,
Because of the
yeah,
window of opportunity
I don't even think it
is
was the
closing.
window necessarily. I think, guys like
Well, why
Chris.
else would they stay? They would only stay if they had an opportunity to win.
I don't think I first I think all three, this is my honest opinion. I think all three of them would have stayed had they been offered the contract that they were hoping for. It's just Jed looks at that and says, "Listen, bro, like as much as I love your face and what you've done for the organization, this is not then, this is now." It's like to the only one to this day, and I think you would agree, until very recently with Michael Bush recent play, I think you have a different conversation. But in that same breath, he's still not Anthony Rizzo. You know what I mean? Like, of course, with Izak coming at third base, 4 years later, you finally have that answer at third base. Shortstop, cool. Second base, cool. Nico Dansby, solid. But Riz was the only one where I was like, that's the guy that you bring
He's
back.
a captain, yeah.
Yeah, whether look at Miggy in Detroit. Miggy hasn't
Right.
done jack shit
He's
since
gonna
I was
die here. Like, you just make
yeah.
sure, like, hey, Joey Votto in
Right.
Cincinnati, it's
Make
like,
him
"Yo,
fucking happy.
you
Like,
gotta die here. This
yeah.
is where you're gonna die."
Exactly. And it's like, for that kind of stuff to happen, it's kind of wild. And then obviously we talked about it backstage, our boy Schwartz. It's weird that you didn't trade him for anything. You let him walk just because you didn't want to pay him $8 to $10 million AAV. So
They
it's like
did the same thing with Jake Arrieta, and that panned out
Jake,
good
Jake,
too.
Jake
We got
fell
the
off for
best
sure.
years. We got the best years out of Jake Arrieta
Yep.
and didn't have to pay him a crazy amount. And then he goes to
100%.
the Phillies, back to the Cubs. Like, we got the best years out of him. That
It
was
was
like
crazy.
Jake Arrieta prime was fucking unmatched,
I
dude.
mean, dude, it was probably, in my opinion, probably top 3 season for any pitcher in baseball
That
history.
I've watched.
Yeah.
When people are like, "Oh, Nolan
Nine
Ryan," I'd be like, "That's great, dude."
1902, I'm like, I don't give a
Yeah,
fuck
and
about
I'm like,
1902. Like,
"That's great, dude." But what I watched when I watched it, it was just
You
unmerited,
remember the T-shirts, bro? Fear the beard, fear the beard. It was real.
right?
Like there were people scratched from the lineup on Jake Arrieta start days. It was insane. But one guy I'm curious to get your opinion on. I know you follow the minor leagues to a T. You try to keep up with it.
A little bit,
You
just
try to
mostly
keep
with
up
just
with it.
Cubs and Phillies,
Yeah, yeah,
mostly.
yeah. So Moises Balestros has been phenomenal. He's a catcher, AAA Iowa. He's been doing his thing. But one guy I want to talk to you about. We talk about captains a lot. We talk
Mm.
about the guy who's the face of the Chicago Cubs, who's going to be that guy for the foreseeable future. And you could argue it was Christopher Morel, but that's really just fan favorite nonsense. You know what I mean? He's not the
I
face of
mean,
the Cubs.
I'll be honest, it's in the staff, dude. With
Yeah,
Shota Imanaga and
right.
Justin Steele. I mean,
Exactly.
those are. Am I wrong? I mean, you would agree with
I would
what I'm
agree.
saying, right?
I would love
You
for
want to
it.
look in the lineup, sure. You'd be like, oh,
Right.
Dansby is our face of our
Right. I
organization.
would love for it to be
Not
Bellinger because, you're looking at a former
right.
MVP, a World Series champ.
Yeah,
Makes sense for it to be him. And I would say last year it was. But I think obviously his play this year just activated.
dude.
But
I
it
know, but Belly, dude,
it's not.
like
I'm not.
it's great, but dude, he signed a 3-year deal with an opt out after every year. So
Yeah.
basically, he was just looking like, hey, if I put up a good year, I'm gone, dude.
Yeah, it's what it
So
was. It's what it was. And now you're like, the Cubs are probably like, we don't even want him back next year. But the one guy I want to ask you about, because it felt like to me that he was the captain of the team. It felt like it was personal. You and I kind of talked about it a little while ago about, well, did Riz really want to come back, or did Javi really want to come back, or did KB want to come back, or was it really about the money at the end of the day? The guy who I felt like the entire time it was about the organization. He loved it, and I felt it in his soul when this man left. Wilson Contreras. Wilson
mm,
Contreras currently, right now, batting 269 on the year, 13 home runs, 29 RBIs, 897 OPS, and 216 at bats, and one fractured arm. I know you saw that video. That shit was crazy. JD Martinez sent that man to the lobby. I mean,
well, his staff did, dude,
yeah,
because his staff was the one who told him to move up in the box for that.
right. It's
He
horrible.
That's
But
not where he normally sets up, and they said move up. So
yeah,
that's his staff putting him in danger.
right. But would you, especially with JD, a left-handed power bat, but I think my issue with the entire core, and we're gonna get, I know everyone watching this is probably like, when the fuck are they gonna talk about the trade deadline? But we have, me and Shefty haven't talked in a while, damn it. So this is our fucking show.
Yeah,
But no,
it's gonna
like,
be a Rogan 3 hour, dude.
oh man, we're gonna have the mushroom break, psychedelic mushroom break in
Yeah,
3 minutes. No, I'm kidding. But I see Miguel Amaya, and I've watched him for a while. Tommy John surgery at like 19 years old. The kid still got braces. He's super young. Like, this is a guy who is going to take some time to come into the big leagues, and they rushed him and they threw him right in there immediately after his Tommy John rehab. Hasn't been good. Obviously, we got Nitto from the New York Mets. They tried the Yan Gomes experiment. One time I told him to fucking hit the ball better at the right behind home plate. Guy had 2 triples in a game against St. Louis. So I
damn.
never said shit to him ever
Showed
again.
you.
Yeah, Yan earned my respect. But Wilson Contreras is somebody that, do you look back on it and say maybe they should have hung on to Wilson just because he was the captain of the team at the time? He was still a part of that 2016 core. He knows how to win. He's mentoring guys like Morel. You look at him right now, he's producing, man. 269, like I said, 13 home runs. This is a guy that the Cubs, if Wilson Contreras was currently on the Cubs with these same stats, I think you look at that lineup a lot differently. Would you agree with that?
I think the front office looks at their farm, right? And they're like, oh, wait, well, we have a 21-year-old kid
Right. Balestro.
who's pretty good right now. And do we want to pay Wilson, or we could have this young guy come up? Our window's probably not for another 5 years. So would it make sense to pay him, or would it make sense to invest in this young kid that we have in our farm system? That would be my first initial thought, is like, there's a reason they don't pay him, right? Like, they would love to keep him. Who doesn't want to have the same fucking pictures and marquee and everything with Wilson Contreras on it? That sells tickets. People love him. They have his jersey, all that stuff. So I'm sure they looked at their farm system, be like, Pete Crow Armstrong's going to come up. We'll bring maybe this catcher up. Who knows? So I'm
Right.
sure that had to go into it. That would be my
Yeah.
guess.
I think it was a
But dude,
mix
who
of both.
doesn't love Wilson, dude? Wilson,
That's what I'm saying. Like
a spark plug, and I think that's big in Chicago. If you're a spark plug and you bring energy,
right.
and yeah, you're kind of just like rallying this
Right.
team. That the city loves that.
And listen, I want your take on it, because obviously, if you were checking us out on Give Us a Shot Instagram, links in the bio below. A lot of people felt some. First, I want to say I'm a white man, so for a lot of people who, I don't know what you thought I was, but when I said this, can say this, Shefty can say this because it's what we are. I said, man, the Cubs just feel like a bunch of blue collar workers, blue collar white boys going to work, got their time clocks, they're clocking in, clocking out. There's no energy outside of guys like Christopher Morel, outside of Justin Steele, outside of Shota Imanaga. There's not a lot of guys with energy. These guys show up, they're professional.
All
You're
right,
not
Mike.
going
So
to
who brings
hear
that
nothing.
energy then? How
So
about your $40 million manager
exactly.
that
But
you pay?
here's what I'll throw to you though. Didn't you have that in Wilson Contreras? You know what I mean? Didn't you have that
Sure.
in Javier Baez? Yeah, sure, you had a bunch of these guys, right? But it's like we have these same conversations every single year, and this is why I wanted to bring it up to you. It's well, what do we have to do? Where's the spark? You saw the video I sent to you of Justin Steele going into the dugout and screaming at the top of his lungs,
Yep.
"Wake the fuck up!" And then in that game, they did. And then
Mhm.
the very next day, they go back to doing what they do before. So it's like for me, we talked about it before the show. You and I are motivational speech fiends, bro. Like we're feeding off of it. We're trying to get that shit. We're trying to get
Motivation's
going.
like hygiene, dude.
It
Recommended
is.
every day.
It is. But it's like I feel like these guys don't have that. I feel like Bellinger, as great as you are, Gold Glover in center field, maybe even a Gold Glover at first, you could debate. This is a guy who is an amazing athlete. I see that man in outfield, lackluster, does not give a fuck to be there, just chilling.
Mhm.
You got people saying he's smoking a doobie before every game. That's fine, I don't care. Same. But it's like Nico Horner, that's your poster boy. You have Dansby Swanson, oh, he's married to the girl on the Chicago whatever the fuck, respectfully,
Olympic team, dude.
Olympic, shout out to her. But the
Changes
soccer
region,
team,
dude. He's
though,
worldwide.
I mean, Chicago soccer, whether it's fire or whether it's Red Stars, just not good. But it's just like lackluster for me, bro. It's this team is not exciting. This team is not exhilarating. This team isn't singing "I'm in the corner" in September. Red October. I mean, you guys have something special.
That's a real thing. It's
It's a real
intangible.
thing.
When they talk about vibes, like I hate that new age hippie fucking bullshit, dude. With the vibe, bro, you the vibes. I hate all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
Shut up. You're an idiot. But it is real. It's an intangible thing
it
that your
is.
clubhouse either has. And when you have a young clubhouse like that, there needs to be a leader, right? So when you have all these young guys coming up, learning how to play in the bigs at the same time, there needs to be a leader. They'd be like, nope, this is how we do it.
Right.
Nope, stop fucking around in BP. We're hitting balls now. That kind of stuff where it's like, this is the standard here. And most of the big city teams have some veteran presence that has the wherewithal to show like, this is how we do it here. This is Chicago. This is Philly. We don't do that kind of stuff.
Right.
We
I'm with it.
were in the basement of the division last year. It's not fun anymore.
Right.
The
And
the Eagles do that all the time. They're
yeah.
like,
It's perfect. And that's what I talked about when we talk about pillars. I don't know if you caught that show where Mike Powers and I were breaking it down, and I said you bring in Dansby Swanson because he's a
bro,
champion. That's period. That's why you bring him in. You bring in Cody Bellinger because he's a champion, because he's been to several World Series. Now, maybe they lost those World Series, but he's been there. He has that experience. Yan Gomes, he went with the Nationals in, what was that, 2018, 2019, something
they
like
won in
that.
2018,
You got a bunch of
2019.
guys, a bunch of guys who have won championships, and that's what's going to teach the Owen Caseys of the world, the Moises Balestros, the Cade Hortons, the Jordan Wicks, the Ben Browns. These guys are going to learn. Pico Armstrong praises having Cody Bellinger in the locker room because of what he means to him. But, in that same breath, you can say that, but what's better than having someone like a Wilson Contreras who has actually been there for this organization, been here in October, year in and year out? That's the one conversation. Hey, to your point, you made a great point. Moises Balestros, dog. I mean, the dude is a monster, and I can't wait to see him in the bigs. But I'll also give you this same argument to go right back at you with it. Why not have both? Why
Sure.
not have both? Like, at the end of the day, he's a rookie catcher.
Dansby Swanson. Dansby Swanson's a World Series winner,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
With
yeah.
the Braves. So you rely on that kind of stuff. Hey, maybe he's not a vocal guy.
Sure.
And maybe that's what this team needs. But it's like, oh,
But
well,
he knows how to win.
we brought in veteran presence, but if he's not willing to be like, hey guys, this is what we're fucking doing. Like, this is how we win. If he's not willing to do that, or he gets a bag. And I think you saw that with Javi, dude. Javi, you are a product of your environment 100%. And it was electric in Chicago, and people loved his base running and fielding. And then you go to Detroit and there's 10,000 people there on a Tuesday, and you're like, this is not Wrigley Field. And you're right. And it makes you much harder to perform at that level.
Right. You know what else it is though too? Because you mentioned Detroit, but you have to mention the middle gap. Because what I started noticing with Javi, the moment I knew things weren't going to change was when he felt some type of way when New York told him to get his shit together. When the fans told him to get their shit together and he said, "Hey, it's not nice for you guys to boo me." Now you know what it feels like to play the way you've been playing for an organization that you've done nothing for. Because you even admitted, "Hey, Miggy, whether it's Joey Votto, Miggy, or Anthony Rizzo, if they are in their original homes, hey, we'll love you forever, brother. Even if you're batting 150 by July,
Yeah,
we will love you."
because
Javi,
what you've done for us, though.
right. You were El Mago. You were the king of Humble Park. You were the man, the myth, the legend, the
You got the World
NLCS.
Series tattoo on your arm.
I mean, he's great. But then you
Corniest
go,
tattoo I've ever seen.
it is. And
It
wasn't it
was
not
like
even the logo for that World Series?
no,
Like
I
it
thought
was
it
the
was like the
wrong.
official logo. It
Yeah,
was
it was
just
not the
so
one though that like we all saw. So I was like,
yeah.
I guess. But you go to New York and you go to Detroit and people are holding you accountable for who you are. And I think Javi kind of felt some type of way about that. I saw him with a goatee just the other week, so that's how I knew he gave up on life.
Mhm.
Unfortunate. When you see a man in his 30s with a goatee, it's like he's either doing something or he's going through it. That's the
Yeah.
problem. That's the problem. But yeah, it's interesting, man. But listen, back into the trade deadline. I love the conversation we just had because I think we got a lot off our chest. But looking at the trade deadline, we are less than 24 hours away. Obviously, you bring in Isaac Paredes. Who else do you see potentially coming in or coming out for the Chicago Cubs? We just had Jameson Taillon on the start today. He was one of the big names that people were saying was going to be dealt. According to his camp right now, he has had zero engagement with the entire front office. So, and just as much as I do, that don't mean jack shit.
Right.
But I expected him to be scratched from tonight if he was going to be dealt. Who do you think is potentially on the board? Who do you think the Cubs could go after? Because and many people don't know Cody Bellinger, who still had a couple weeks until I felt like they took him off the IL,
Mhm.
just got activated today. Do you think Belly could potentially be on the move?
I think Mark Leiter Jr. I think Belly. I think um
Do you believe the Nico Horner talk?
sure. I think everything's on the table right now. If you can stack up for future years, and we saw that with Isaac Paredes, right? We know he's going to be the future third baseman. So if you can do that, I just don't know how much is available in the last, I don't know, 12 hours or whatever it is, less than that or more than that, whatever. I don't know how much you're going to get done between then. But take Jameson Taillon, dude.
Yeah, I'm
Cubs
cool
don't
with
need
it.
him.
I'm cool. I
If you
mean,
can get anything for that, even a 50-50 shot on a prospect or
yeah.
something, might as well take it. You're not winning this year. So anything to build, and I think that's a very cool thing that a lot of GMs aren't thinking about. You can go ahead and go rob and pillage these teams that are waving their white flag and get them for the next couple seasons under
I'm
team
with it.
control.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think you hit the nail on the head about Tyone because here's where I'm at with it. Obviously, you get a guy like Dave Robertson in a Chicago Cubs uniform, and everyone's like, no, you have to keep him. But now we have Ben Brown, thanks to the Philadelphia Phillies, and it helped both. One got to the World Series, one's rebuilding. Now you have a starter in the rotation for the foreseeable future. But Jameson Tyone, let's be so real, Chef. Like, if you're gonna try to sell me the idea that we have now with Shota Imanaga, shout out Mike, doing his thing.
Dude,
I mean,
so great. Cubs
so
hit
great,
on that so
so
good,
great.
dude.
53 million over 4, and
That's
then like it's
That's another
beautiful.
credit you have to give to the front office,
Of
dude.
course, of
They hit
course.
on that. He was just so under Yamamoto. Nobody wanted to talk about
Not even
Imanaga.
100 mil, not even 100, not even
Right.
75. Like I mean, Jed cooked, and
So
did
cook,
Jed
dude.
know that was going to happen? Probably not. But
But they
like,
did it
shout
for
out
a
to him.
reason. They
Like,
know they saw
exactly.
something.
Right. I don't care. Listen, Chef, if you're on my softball team, shout out base hitters. If you're
Oh,
on my
dude,
softball
I
team,
would
bro,
fucking rake, dude.
but
I
my point in all of it is I don't care if you were trying to hit a single and you ended up hitting a home run. No matter what, you put bat to ball and you put the ball in play and we won the fucking game. So whether Jed knew Shota Imanaga was going to be who he was or not, that does not matter to me. What matters to me is he went out there, took a chance, said, I'm not going after Blake Snell. I'm not going after Jordan Montgomery, who, by the way, one's been injury prone the entire season, and Jordan Montgomery has been shit. So, shout out to him getting Mike Imanaga, Shota Imanaga for what 53 over 4. So I think that's great. But when we talk about Tyone, now you have Justin Steele. Arguably, you could say you have Shota Imanaga over him. Justin
Yeah.
Steele. You have got one of your number one prospects in Cade Horton. You have Jordan Wicks, Ben Brown, Kyle Hendricks is still fucking breathing, and you have so many other barely, but he's breathing. He's breathing.
Yeah.
He's unconscious, might be brain dead, but he's breathing. But at the end of the day, man, we got no room for a Jameson Tyone when you have so many young prospects just waiting for an opportunity. So a guy like Tyone, if you're gonna say, hey man, here's a first base prospect, here's a catcher, whatever you want to say, he's at the AAA level, might work out, might not. Okay, cool, perfectly fine. Because Tyone, at the end of the day, you talk about the windows. Tyone's not going to be here when that window is wide fucking open.
No.
That's just how I feel. But
No.
I'm with you. I just for my mental health, I wore my Nico Horner jersey potentially for the last time for this pod with you tonight. I'm hoping
I
it's
think you'd
not
be
true.
safe, dude.
Here's why I don't think
if you
so.
got a solid middle infield, dude. I mean, that's quality. Now they're filling in the spaces at third, figure out first base. Right. You have a decent staff. So I think if you got those pieces, dude, you really got to hit on something. Because I mean, Nico's a Gold Glover, dude. You know, right. Nico's a Gold Glover at second base.
So here's my pushback though, right? Because I know you're huge on Paredes, and I know what he's been able to do for the Tampa Bay Rays. I like him a lot. There's no reason from the outside looking in. There's no reason for the Rays to make a move for him, but I'll tell you why they do, because they have Curtis Mead for the Rays, not the Cubs. The Cubs makes
no. You're saying make him the Rays would make a move for who?
So the Rays move on from Paredes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why? Why would they move on from Paredes? It doesn't make sense, because they have Curtis Mead and they have Junior both at those positions. That is why you move on.
And Rosarena, they just got
exactly.
rid of too.
So let's talk about what you see right now in Nico Horner. As much as I love Nico, a good buddy of mine, he's right now in AAA for the Iowa Cubs. Second baseman and Arizona Fall League MVP, James Triantos. He's a top 100 prospect. This kid hits better than Nico. He has more pop in his bat. Defensively, sure, he's not going to be a Gold Glover off the bat. But when you look at it for what it is and understand, just like with Paredes, hey, listen, if the Cubs can potentially get a, Christopher Morel type package with two, relieving arms from another organization for Nico Horner, and then boom, immediately you can just throw in and plug in James Triantos. You can have those conversations of, listen, Jed believes in Triantos. Otherwise, he would have shipped them off by now. You have a great up the middle defense with PCA.
What does Triantos play, you said?
Triantos plays, so he's AAA Iowa right now. Okay. As it stands, they rotate him from second base, short, and center field. They're trying to find
so middle infield, and then he can play outfield too.
A little bit, and he is just, I mean, this kid is going to be one of them. I'll tell you what. I mean, he's got fiery red hair.
I'll tell you
what. He's the fucking guy. Not just because he's been on the pod, not just because I'm stroking it. Like, I'm so for real. This kid is legit. So I think when you have an issue like that, if you're Jed Hoyer, and
he's already in AAA, you said too.
Yeah, he's already there, and he's having success, and he's been great. Nico Horner hasn't been perfect this season. Obviously, slow start to April and May. If you're getting a great package for Nico Horner, I think you do it just because you have a guy like Triantos. And you would agree, Jed has definitely gone about it a very different way than Theo Epstein. We've talked about that before, where Theo was more like, yo, fuck these guys, forget Eloy Jimenez, forget Dylan Cease, forget, all these other prospects. Gleyber Torres. Well, that made sense. But, I think you look at all these other moves he's made where he just moves away from every top prospect he has. Mm-hmm. And then you look at Jed, he coddles them. He's more invested in them. And I talked about it. And you're about to have twins. So I would love your opinion. I would love an opinion as a father. I said, we were talking about it with my guy, Saul, Gabe, Miles, shout out to him. We were talking about, well, why? Jed doesn't love this team. Jed doesn't care. I'm going to agree with them. Jed does not care about this roster. That does not mean he does not care about the Chicago Cubs. So, Chef, I'm going to ask you this. Would you rather to watch your daughter and your twins, your grandpa Rossi, who doesn't really know where he is half the time and doesn't understand what to do or how to make meals, or would you
Joe
rather
Biden?
Exactly. Or would you rather pay one of the best facilities, babysitting facilities in all of America in Council Industries? So that's where I'm at right now. I understand, we want Blake Snell. We want Juan Soto. Listen, I think Jed does believe in the current roster. It's just not the roster you see on the field. The roster he believes in is in AAA Iowa, is in South Bend, wherever the fuck, there's Indiana, and all these different places with guys like Owen Casey, P. Crow Armstrong, Michael Bush, Cade Horton, Moises Balestros, James Triantos. I think he believes in those guys. I don't think he necessarily believes in Ian Happ and Miguel Amaya. You know what I mean? And I think I mean that from a good place, to where it's like you bring in Craig, make him the highest paid manager so he can help develop one of the youngest cores in baseball that is on the way. I mean, that's just real. Like you look at the Washington Nationals, got a great young core. I mean, Dylan Cruz isn't even there yet. This offense is decent. They're
You
just
just got
not
rid of Lane
really,
Thomas.
yeah, they're just not very well managed, and that's really what it comes down to. That's why they're underperforming just a tad bit. So I'm with it, bro. I think Jed has that plan of, listen, you might be mad that Christopher Morel's gone, but I don't give a fuck because I'm about to win a championship with Paredes at third base. You know what I mean? And that's really where I'm coming from with it. But I
I
would
think it's
love,
easy too because
yeah,
we saw the deficiencies from Morel at third base.
yeah. Also,
Nobody's gonna say like, "Oh, he's the third baseman of the future." No, he's not. You
nah.
watch any game, dude. You know that.
It was you and
So
I. You and I literally made videos at the same time. And I said this the other day, and I kind of threw your name in there. I said, I'm sure Chef would still stand by this statement. We both thought he could have an all-star caliber year. We
yeah,
both said, you have every opportunity to be
mhm.
great. Now, there were moments where I
Yep,
was like, yo,
yeah.
this,
Highlight
yeah,
reels,
yeah, it's tough. And then there
walk
were other
off
times.
home runs.
Right. There's other times where I'm like, all right, bro, like you fucking suck at third base.
Yeah,
Like I can't lie.
yeah.
There's other
That's a
times he looked like
routine
Matt.
ground ball, dude.
Yeah, like it seemed like the hard stuff he was great at. It was the easy shit where he's just
Mhm.
like shit in the bed. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with the Cubs. I want to move on to the New York Yankees. Obviously,
All right,
yeah, you have
Mike. Do I
Jazz.
have 30 seconds to get a refill or
Of
no?
course you do. I'll just go through it
You
as
can,
you
you
do it.
can, you can, you can
Of course. Just
freestyle.
keep doing what you're doing.
All right, I'm coming right back.
With that being said, this is why I hate shit. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, man, you look at Jazz Chisholm Jr. getting traded to the New York Yankees. At first, I ain't gonna lie, guys. Chat, I was worried. I was anxious. I didn't know how I felt about it. I was like, man, does that even make sense? Obviously, we've seen so many different guys coming in and out of Yankee uniforms. I know Mike Powers was pissed. This is a guy who has some aura. This is a guy who has some swag, one of the swaggier players in baseball. Will the old school New York Yankees allow him to do so? And tonight, an absolute monster. He rips a home run, first home run as a New York Yankee. Obviously had his first hit just the other night. But he's been great. The Yankees give up multiple prospects for him. Not too crazy though. Obviously, they give up catcher Augustus Ramirez. You get Jared Cerna and infielder Abraham Ramirez. So you're not getting the heart and soul of the New York Yankees farm system. You're not getting a Jason Dominguez. You're not getting an Andrew Volpe. You're not getting an Anthony Volpe. You're not getting any of these guys. So what we're seeing right now is the Yankees bringing in guys just because they can. You know what I mean? And that's one of the bigger things for me is like understanding what this team has the intangibles to do. Giancarlo Stanton is on the way back from the IL. They were pretty bad without him. They hadn't won a series since, what was it, early June, if I'm not mistaken. So this was their first series that they had won in quite some time. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what potentially happens with this team, with this organization. It's really going to come down to who wants it more. And I think that's really what we're looking towards. And I think when you bring in a guy like Jazz, it shows you how bad you want it. You want this just because you might not be able to trust Gleiber come October. And I think that's really what it comes down to. I keep saying that, but it's facts. Like, this is what we're talking about. So I think for me, at the end of the day, the different kind of conversations that we need to be having is not does it make sense, but why does it happen? It happens because we can. We can afford to get Jazz. Other teams, other organizations, they don't want to go out there and they don't want to deal with a guy like Jazz who might have to be asked to play out of his role. And we talked about that with Nico Hoerner. The Cubs asked Nico Hoerner to be one of the top producers of this offense. That's just not his game. Nico Hoerner is going to grab some bags. He's going to hit for contact. And he's going to play gold glove defense at the end of the day. So I'm really curious to see how he continues to grow, how he continues to develop. We just saw the beautiful Sheffield Shuffler's belly as he continued to
Oh,
walk
I'm
by.
sure, dude.
Oh, it looks glorious.
I had a guy comment on one of my videos today. He was like, "Suck your gut in, dude." I was like,
No,
"I'm
let it hang.
trying."
Let it hang, brother. Let it hang. Dad bod in full effect. The man's having twins. You let him be fucking great. But
You
no,
said we
but
were talking about the Yankees, right?
we are. I had to give that beautiful guts and shine.
Soliloquy.
So, but I'm talking about it and we're breaking it down. We talked about the three prospects they gave up to get Jazz Chisholm Jr. Didn't give up much. You didn't get the heart of the farm system for the New York Yankees. They did
What's
it.
Jazz's contract?
Jazz's contract, he's 26 years old. I believe he's under control for 3 to 4 more years, if I'm not mistaken. Jazz hasn't been around that long. But I love it. I love it, Chef. And I think I want your opinion on this because I said, why do they trade for Jazz? It's because they fucking can't. You know
Till
what I mean?
2027.
2027. I mean, bro, you got 3 years of control. It looks beautiful. This is one of the more swaggier, one of the more sexier players in baseball. You make this trade
Cover
because
of the
you
show,
believe.
dude.
I mean, dude, it's insane to get a guy like Jazz. And I think why it works.
And he wears Sheffield Shuffler, dude.
Does
Not a
he?
big deal.
Does he?
Oh yeah, dude. I
I
made
didn't
a
even know
shirt
that.
for him. I made a shirt for him.
I didn't even know that, bro.
He
You gotta
wore it on
show
the
me.
field. Oh, dude.
You gotta show me that. You gotta show me that.
Gotta
That's
show
sick.
you, dude.
But while we talk about that though, I think a lot of people question, can they handle Jazz being the franchise player? And I think that's why a move to the New York Yankees makes so much sense because Jazz can just go out there and be Jazz. Jazz doesn't have to worry
Well, it took
about.
Stroman.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, let's see that shirt. Let's see that. That's tough. You made that shirt for
Oh,
him?
yeah. Oh,
That's
hold on.
tough.
He wore it on TV, dude.
Dude,
I
that's
know
incredible.
I'm hijacking your
Dude, you're good.
dude, look at that shit on his arm. Look at that logo. Ready?
That's tough, bro.
Bam! There it
That's
is,
tough.
dude. The
That
Sheffield
is tough.
Shuffler logo.
That is tough. I
He wore
like
that
it.
fucking on TV. That was
I
like one of
didn't
my
even.
someone
When was
tagged me in
this?
that, dude. I was like, oh my god, he's wearing my shirt. He's wearing my shirt.
Yeah, when was that?
I don't know, maybe 2 years ago.
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah,
That's
so I'll
incredible.
always love Jazz, dude. I always love Jazz for that. I fucking posted a shirt. I made it, drew it, whatever, and tagged it on social media. He was like, "Yo, I need some of those." I was like, "Where can I send them?" He's just like, "DM me, send them to the stadium." I was like, "Yep, you got it." I
Yeah.
just sent him a whole bunch.
Bro, I'm actually like, that's actually geeked. I'm geeked for you, bro. That's actually dope as fuck.
Yeah, so I always love Jazz. I have that shirt in my
Hit
fucking
him up again,
bedroom.
bro. Hit him up again. Be like, yo, I need to make you some Yankees themed ones. That'll be even
Yeah, I mean, probably not. I got lucky, dude. It just fucking strikes gold sometimes. I'm sure he's not
sometimes.
checking my DMs anymore.
No, for sure.
He's
Chef,
not like, yo, chef, hook me up with some, shirt,
Chef has messaged him every single day since, just asking him how he's doing. Just seen
right?
37 minutes ago.
God bless, brother. God
Oh
bless.
man, but I think it's a great move, man.
Yo,
We
they got
saw,
Stroman. They got Stroman. They got some
yeah,
swag in the
they
stadium.
got
At
some
least
swag there.
Verdugo.
I mean, let's be
Come
real
on.
though. Stroman's been jack shit, but
Yeah,
it makes
but
sense.
Verdugo. I mean,
Diogo's been great. They got
they would
some
not
dog.
allow those swaggy kind of players in New York. They try to
Right.
tame that shit
Yeah.
at all costs.
So can
And
I want your opinion on this one because it ruffled some feathers on Twitter. There were rumors that Jazz was going to wear number 2 in New York. How did you feel about that? And if it happened, do you think that would have pissed off Yankees fans everywhere?
that would have never happened. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that's how I felt too.
That would have never been an option.
Yeah,
Never.
I was like, even though it's not officially retired, it's not fucking.
He's wearing A-Rod's number. He's wearing
Yeah,
13.
yeah, and that's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just don't follow in the steps of A-Rod, and I think you'll both off the field and on the
No,
field.
Derek Jeter, nobody was going to give him
Yeah,
number
no,
2. I
I
mean,
was like, that's not fucking they,
yeah.
even if you go on ESPN, I don't know if they changed it, but I had the screenshot. They said he was wearing number 2 on ESPN for the New York Yankees, and I was like,
No,
nah,
no chance.
shot, no shot. But getting the deal done. Obviously, he hits a dinger today.
2
dingers. One with Aaron Judge's bat, which was really cool. He kind of showed
Judge had 2 dingers and he had 2 dingers.
it was incredible, man. So assuming once, obviously Giancarlo Stanton comes back, everything else happens.
Does nothing.
It does nothing, but it does change the
He did
lineup just a
nothing
little
today.
bit. Do you think Jazz is your future leadoff for the New York Yankees going into October?
Who else do they have right now?
That's the question. You know what I mean?
No,
Like at
it's
times it was
nobody,
Anthony
really.
Rizzo, so it was like, what are we doing? You know what I mean?
No, I mean it's nothing. Like that's your leadoff guy for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was funny because Gleyber Torres made a big fucking stink and was like,
Oh my God, about
I'm
third
a
base?
second baseman. I'm not a third baseman.
Yeah.
And he has the most errors in all of baseball since 2018 at his position. So yeah,
Yep.
dude, you're not really a good second baseman either. So if we need you to play third, you're gonna play third.
Yeah, no. And I think here's my thing. And I love Gleyber Torres, and I will never shit on him for the simple fact that he is the reason the Cubs won the World Series because we got to roll this Chapman.
Well, it wasn't
Thank you,
his
sir.
thing. We
Oh
did
no,
get Chapman for him,
without Gleyber, there's no Aroldis, and without Aroldis, we go down. So I'm shout out to him. Shout out Gleyber.
Yeah, the most famous thing he's famous for.
Yeah, doing nothing, just getting traded. So shout out to him. But no, in all seriousness, I saw that and I was like, you're a dickhead. Like, you're not a team player. You don't want to win. And it's different, I feel like.
Mookie
And
Betts, complete opposite, dude.
dude, Mookie
Comes in,
Betts
he's
is
like,
like,
"Yeah, dude, I'll play short. I'll play
I'm
second. I
hey,
don't have
I'll
to play
manage
right."
today. I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck. Like, we saw Anthony Rizzo manage a game
Who
before.
would you
And
rather have on your team? Someone that has that attitude or someone
yeah,
who has
it's
Glaber's attitude?
that's what it comes down to. And
Especially
I
when you're
think
struggling too. It's like, "Yo, we're struggling. We
right.
gotta do something. Can you play third?" "Yeah, yeah, I can play third. Work at it, whatever." "No, no, I'm at second baseman." "All right,
Yeah,
dude.
like
Cool. Well, you suck at
I
second, so."
a perfect example is Christopher Morel, who was drafted as a third baseman. They spent the entirety of his minor league career making him an outfielder. Comes
Yeah.
into the big leagues, he's in the outfield. Now he's at second, and then this season he's tasked at third. And it's like, no, not once did I hear Christopher Morel say
He
he
meant
doesn't feel
right,
comfortable or that he doesn't want to do it. He just fucking did it. And it's like,
right.
that's what you need to do at the end of the day. And to your point, I think the guys like Mookie can say that. Guys like Mookie can be like, "Hey, listen, fuck that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
good.
Nope.
I'm at second." Gleiber, come on, brother. You're not even good at the position you're at. And it's
Right.
like, like, what are we talking about? But over under, how much of an impact do you think Jazz being on the offense, more so than anything, just being in that lineup, does that make a real big impact for this ball club moving forward? Or do you think he's just a nice piece to have, a little cherry on top to an already great lineup?
I don't think they are a great lineup, I'll be honest with you. I know they shit all over the Phillies today, but that's totally fine. Stanton came back, didn't do anything.
Right.
Judge had 2 home runs. He's the most dangerous hitter in baseball. So you cannot pitch to Aaron Judge. You have to be super careful around him. So don't pitch to him. You gave Jazz 2 bombs as well from a fucking leadoff position. Can't do that. Um, I think Jazz is a nice cherry on top. I don't know how much it pushes them over because they have been struggling
Yeah.
outside of Judge and Juan Soto. Those are
Yeah.
your 2 best players. They came out last week and they were talking about quotes. Juan Soto was like, "You can't just have 2 good players on the team," basically saying, "Hey, it's just me and Judge
And he knows
producing."
that. He knows that with what happened in
Right.
San Diego, because you had what? You had Tatis, you had Machado, you had
Machado,
Juan, you had all Bogarts, you had all these guys, but the
Luis
rest of the
Ariz.
team, yeah, the rest of the team was dick. I don't think Luis was there quite yet when they had Juan Soto, but I definitely get it. And it's like, I think what makes guys like that so much fun. We talked about that culture. We talked about, we're going to work, we got our ticket, we're punching in, punching out. Guys like Dansby, guys like Nico, love them as, Cub fans, we love them. But the reality is these guys aren't lit. These guys aren't fun. I know you're going to hate this word, but I'm going to hit you with it. They got no fucking aura. They got nothing to them. When you have Aaron Judge, who I don't give a fuck if Aaron Judge doesn't say a single word on the field. The bro has aura.
Sure.
The man
He's the
walks
most dangerous hitter in
yeah,
baseball,
he's a
hands
fucking
down.
monster. Then you have guys like Anthony Rizzo, who's playing Mario Kart with Dexter Fowler before Game 7 because that's what the fuck they do, and they
Mhm.
have a blast. Then you have Jazz Chisholm Jr., who's swaggy. You have Alexander Verdogu. You have so many other players on this team who just have a shit ton of fun, and they do an amazing job at doing it. You have Marcus Stroman and Garrett Cole fucking hate each other, and they sit next to each other before every game. I fucking love it.
Sure,
And
but
it's
the
like,
Yankees have sucked the last 3 3
for
weeks.
sure. But I think
So
that's
so what
the
do
idea. I think
so
that's the
what's
idea.
how big of an impact is Jazz, really?
I think it builds.
Rodon sucks. Cole has got
Yeah.
his fucking dick kicked in.
Yep.
We're good here. We're late night, right?
Did you hear? Yeah. Well, did you hear? They're potentially going to be moving Nestor if
I
they could potentially
I
land
heard that.
another arm. I forgot
Yeah.
what arm it was. Was it who the fuck was it? I forgot what arm it was, but they're looking to get an arm, and if they do, Nestor Cortez is probably the next one to get the boot. But which makes sense because they called him Nasty Nestor for that mustache, but his play has been even nastier. It's been fucking disgusting,
Mhm.
and it's been bad. So I think, to your point about Gleiber, that's why you bring in Jazz, is because you kind of got some guys in here who, come October, you might not want them to see the field. You might not want somebody like Gleiber Torres, being at that position, being at that spot. You might bench him. You know what I mean? That's especially after
We
those comments are made.
you said how big of an impact is Jazz,
I think he's
and
a pretty big impact.
I would disagree and say not that big of an impact.
Yeah,
He's probably can have big moments. He had 2 home runs tonight. So I look like an idiot right
sure.
now,
And
sure.
he could go
But
0 for 4 tomorrow, though. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, that's really
And
what
he's
it
also
comes down
playing
to.
a new position.
Mhm.
So who knows how that's going to turn out?
Right.
Defensively, seen it with Morel. You're not comfortable with that position. So we'll see how that goes. And then also, like we saw for the last 3 weeks, outside of Judge and Soto, Yankees struggle and their aces aren't keeping up. Very much the same with the Phillies right now. Your offense isn't going and your pitchers are not helping you out. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely makes sense, man. It makes sense. The only reason I think it's a huge impact move is, like I said, it's about the vibes. It's about guys coming in every single day excited to be there. I mean, let's be so real. Jazz was, especially when Luis got traded, he's fucking over it. He was done with Miami. I
oh
want to
yeah.
play real baseball. Like, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
So,
he probably had a dope life though in Florida, dude.
oh,
I mean,
come
like
on. It's things we can't even talk about on here. You know what I
he's
mean?
not
Like,
complaining, dude. So
no.
when you say like, yeah, he wanted to win, sure, I'm sure he wanted to win, but he's
Yeah.
living groovy,
He
dude.
was
Doing
chilling.
brand deals, just being
Yeah.
like,
Just
chef sending
living.
me all these t-shirts, like
Get the fuck out of here. No, bro, but I
he's
get it,
like,
I
I'm
get it.
good, dude.
So, I wanna pivot a little bit towards the Phillies. Obviously, the
Yeah.
Phillies
Oh,
acquire a
talk to me
closer.
about them, dude. Yeah.
Let's talk to me about it, because there's a lot of things going on. Obviously, it's been, this week's Phillies. Chef just posted a video about it.
Yeah, it's my series, dude.
Yeah, it's
Every
great,
Monday.
but it was a tough watch this week, just because, like, I see it in your face where it's like, what they can be, what
Mhm.
is supposed to happen, and I know you're not tripping necessarily about anything happening in July, but you bring in a new closer on the board. I love to see that for you guys. I think that was
Mhm.
kind of the question throughout the year, was like, who's
Needed.
going, yeah, who. It was kind of by committee, and I'm a big believer, just like you. If you have closer by committee, you don't have a fucking closer.
Right.
So
If you have
to
2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback.
Exactly. So, shout out Tyson Bagent. But I think big dog. You saw that 1 mile burpee, bro.
Oh, I didn't
Burpees. I mean, it was insane. It was insane. But
send me the
broad
link.
jumps. I will. But what are you thinking, man? What are you thinking over the next 24 hours that needs to happen for the Philadelphia Phillies? Do you stay pat? Do you sell? Do you not sell, but, like, you know what I mean? Do you try to acquire anything by giving away anything?
No, I mean, I'm good with this team going into the postseason, dude. It's been the majority, 90% of this team has been here the last 2 years, pushing for the postseason. So this is the squad that got in. They added Austin Hayes, Estevez in the bullpen. That's a better option in left field. Someone coming off the bench, put Marsh in center. I'm a big fan of Marsh in center over Rojas. Not a
Yeah.
fan of Rojas. There's a big committee here in Philly that was like, Rojas squad, they fucking love him. I'm like, that's great. I don't care what you do in the regular season. If you go 4 for 43, I'm going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, if our 1 through 4 hitters aren't hitting and our 9 hitters not our problem. I'm like, yeah, dude, but you know how much that means when you turn over the lineup and there's one out and he gets on base and then Schwarber gets another at bat. It does matter. So,
Yeah.
it's, I said I got about another week of positivity in me before I'll start, because I like to think of myself as a rational,
Sure.
coherent Philly fan, because most of them here aren't. There are a lot of whack jobs. They're, ready to sell the team after a loss. So I try to be realistic. They've never really, I don't want to speak for them, but we've experienced adversity. The Cubs
Yeah.
were down 3-1 in the World Series when they won. So when you got to know when your back's against the wall, there's
Yeah.
adversity, you learn from it,
Yeah.
we've over
I'll do you one better, brother.
we've
I'll do you one
overcome
better.
adversity, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not afraid down 3-1. I've
Yeah.
been there. Like,
No, hey,
we've
chef,
been there.
you don't even need to bring up the Cubs. Just let's just go on a gander walk on Google real quick and look up every Bears quarterback since 1985.
It's a
And then
long list.
they'll talk about us about adversity, brother. We still have
Right.
fucking hope. We'd get a new rookie quarterback jersey every 4 years, and we say this is the fucking guy, even if he's fucking not. So, I mean, hey,
Exactly. So
it's
that's
what we
why
do.
I'm not quick on giving up on stuff.
Yeah.
They're in a rut right now. They're very much playing bad baseball. They've lost 9 of the last 12. Not hitting, not
What is the
pitching well.
change? What is the change for you that you think needs to
Who
happen?
knows? It could be the All-Star break, dude. Everybody had a week off, coming back. It's also the dog days of summer. So this is what I try and tell people. Like, you are invested in the Cubs because they are relevant, we'll say. A lot of people here are invested in the Phillies now because they are relevant,
Right.
the best team in baseball. So you're watching every day, maybe when you normally wouldn't. Okay.
Yeah.
This is baseball, and there's 162 games, almost 200 freaking games, almost. Okay. So there's going to be bad stretches. Okay. It's not like
Mhm.
football where you watch once a week and you're like, man, the Bears lost 3 weeks in a row. They're pretty bad. Baseball, you can lose 3 days in a row and still be okay. So I try and keep that in my mind and tell people that, like, listen, It's a very long season. You're not going to remember this rut in October when they won, win the NLDS, NLCS. Okay, so that's how I try and keep positive. Like I said, dude, they're in a rut.
Wow.
Fun to
Hey, Chef,
watch.
you ready for a shy kid and Shefty trade blockbuster move right now? What we're about to announce?
What's that? Tell me.
Jorge Soler and Luke Jackson to the Braves. Jorge, the MVP of the
Back
World
to the Braves.
Series, is
Yeah.
back in Atlanta. I mean, that's a great move. I don't know what they gave up to get him, but to get him back, I think is huge. It also kind of goes back to our conversation earlier off camera
Braves are
about
decimated with
yeah.
injuries, dude.
I mean,
They
they
can't stay
need him.
healthy.
They needed him back, and we talked about Ozuna. You never know what you get in Ozuna every single day. He might wake up and
Well,
decide he's going to go
Acuna's out.
170.
Michael Harris. I mean, they're decimated with injuries.
Yeah,
Sean Murphy has been out. So I
it's been
mean,
bad.
yeah, they're
Matt
eight
Olson's been shit. Like that's just real. Matt Olson's
they're
been horrendous.
8 games behind the Phillies right now, trying to stay relevant. I mean, it's hard, dude. You got
I
to stay
get it though.
healthy. Just
I
like with
get it.
any other sport, you take that for granted. It's like you can have a great team on paper, but if you can't stay healthy, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Best ability is availability. That's why I
100%.
really don't give a shit about Mike Trout. You're always hurt, dude.
Oh
I've seen
man.
Kyron Williams come back from an injury faster than you have.
Dude,
I mean,
let's do one better. I saw Kyle Schwarber tear his ACL in April, and
oh,
the man was batting 400 in the fucking World Series the same
got
year.
on base 10 out of 20 plate
I
appearances.
don't want to hear shit about my knee hurts.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. Kyle Schwarber was doing that shit. Remember when I can't say that on there. I
That's
know
my
that.
D, dude.
Yeah,
SMD.
yeah. I was like,
SMD for the whole dugout.
I was like, man, he was there, bro. He was fucking lit. And that's what we talk about, man. So yeah, if you didn't know already, give us a shot. Fucking there. We are in there like swimwear, giving breaking news. Jorge Soler, World Series MVP, won 2 World Series on both November 2nd for both the Cubs and the Braves. So
Did
that
he
was
win
cool.
with the Royals too, or no?
No. Because remember, he was drafted by the Cubs, so he was here for a minute.
And
Royals
then went to the
won
Royals after
2014 when after
15,
yeah, they won. Then they
the year before
14
the
and
Cubs.
15. They went back to back.
No,
Yeah, the
no,
Royal
they went to the World Series in 14 and lost.
they
Then they
did.
went back in 15 and won.
Okay.
Cubs won in 16
Okay. You got
because
it.
Zobrist was on that winning team in
Right,
15.
right. And
So
he
he
went back to back. Yeah. But shout out Zobrist, but you know how that ended up for him. But I think there's a lot of different things going on right now around the league. Before we get out of here, because we're hitting that hour mark, I want to ask you today, do you think this trade deadline will be blockbuster within the next 24 hours, or do you think it's going to be a lot quieter?
I would guess a lot quieter, just because I don't know what else is left in inventory. If
Right.
you've already had talks, I mean, it's almost this trade came in at before midnight. I don't know who's waking up and making deals in the morning. I'm sure there are, but Soler to the Braves, that's
Decent move.
great.
Decent move.
Yeah, I don't know how many other blockbusters are really
Yeah.
out there,
I
and I could
think
be totally wrong, but
right. I think Blake Snell is really the one that we're going to have to keep our eye on because let's say Blake Snell does end up a Dodger, or Blake Snell does end up somewhere. It definitely does change the landscape of things when it comes to October because rotations will get a lot tighter. Obviously, bullpen's going to be a lot more trusted. Instead of it's 4 to 5 guys, it's probably going to be 2 to 3 guys. It'll be interesting to see what happens, man. Obviously, the Cubs get Nate Pearson. I don't know if you saw his debut tonight.
yeah, dude, he hit a dude in the head and got
Holy
tossed, right?
fuck! Like it was, and you know what, Shefty, I want your opinion. If you're Craig Counsell, are you arguing that? Because Counsell got ejected from the game, and to me, I'm like, I get it, I get that
I
one.
wasn't watching the game though. Give me like the preface of like what happened before that. He gave up a home
Not a
run
damn
to
thing. Yeah, not a damn thing
Candelario.
happened.
Who gave up? I saw a home run
I
got gave
was
up to Candelario,
I
and
just
then
saw the clip. I was playing softball, winning my own playoff game.
oh, sick, dude.
Shout out to them, the boys. But yeah, it was definitely warranted, bro. I was like, that was straight dome, bro. Like that was the middle of dude's head. So like, I get it for sure. But Nate Pearson
But
getting
was it intentional? Like nothing
it.
happened before that?
From what I understood, they're saying it was super humid, super sticky out there. The ball was wet, so like he might, and obviously it's Nate Pearson, bro. Like
Yeah,
he has no control to
just
begin with.
got him, dude.
Yeah, like just got here. The reason they traded him was because he throws hard, but he has zero control. makes fucking sense that that's exactly what happened.
Right.
But yeah, it was what it was. But we're expecting Paradas in the next 24 to 48 hours wearing number 17 in the Cubs jersey.
Oh
Obviously,
yeah.
Randy Arozarena, Seattle Mariner. So we'll see what happens with Seattle. Obviously, Julio Rodriguez has been on a second half tear. A lot of things going on, man. But before we get out of here, what is your biggest game changer? I guess I left this off because I wanted your honest opinion. What is
Mhm.
your biggest game changer that you want to see from any ball club that can turn them into a playoff team to a contender? Who's that team that you think in the second half is just going to start tearing shit up?
Who do I think in the second half is going to start tearing shit up?
Yeah.
I would probably say this might be an easy answer, but the Dodgers. The
Mm.
Dodgers have also been riddled with injuries. Glasnow, Kershaw,
Yamamoto.
Jason Hayward, Yamamoto. So when the Phillies played them, the Phillies swept the Dodgers, and all the Phillies fans, yay, we swept the Dodgers. I'm like, that is great, but we faced Bobby Miller, who they sent to the AAA after that start. So we're not facing those guys when we played them in October. It's going to be
Right.
very different. So now they're getting more healthy. I would say the Dodgers, and you could say that's a cop out or whatever, but it's
No,
just
yeah.
real. Like I understand they're in first place, but they have been riddled with injuries, and they're starting to get guys back. And I think they'll be more so the Dodgers that cover that 1.5 run line. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with it. I'm with it for sure. And I'll also, it's not a hot take whatsoever. This is the team that was in the World Series just a year ago. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say it's the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Oh damn! Phillies played them on the road in a couple days.
I think they have a great second half. Obviously, Jordan Montgomery just got back. He started the other day. You have a guy in Corbin Carroll who, I mean, I know you were watching it the same way I was. Dude had the biggest sophomore slump I have seen in quite some time. He looked like absolute dog shit. He's coming around. Obviously, how important is he for that lineup? So I definitely think they could have a second half to remember, especially if they go after some guys. But Shefty, we appreciate you being here, baby. Appreciate you coming on. Obviously,
Thank you, dude.
for so many people watching this, the first 30 minutes, if you're not a Cubs fan, you probably hated it, but I loved it and I was here for it. And I think we had a lot of conversations where we disagreed on a lot of things, bro. But I think that's the beauty of what we're doing right now is a
Hey,
lot
that's
of
good media, dude.
I mean, not even
Nobody
that.
wants to hear each other agreeing with the same shit over and over
Oh
again.
yeah, I completely agree. You know what I mean? Like that shit's over with, bro. And I think, that's really how the fan base feels. I think a lot of people say Jed should be fired. I think a lot of people say I believe in what Jed's doing. I'm on the fence of I believe in what Jed's doing. I think the Ricketts need to figure out what they're doing. But I think that we're all on the right path in order to see good Cubs baseball for the second half within the next 24 hours. You can make sure to check us out on Give Us a Shot Network. I'll be up to date with everything going on. We will be doing breaking news. Obviously, we went live when Christopher Morel got traded, and that, it pissed me off for like 2 seconds, and then I was happy that we got, our boy. So
He's gonna
I'm
fit in
lit.
so good in Tampa, dude.
You want to hear my hot take of the night?
I saw a stat that said whoever the Cubs traded away reacquired them like a couple years later. Was that what you were gonna say or no?
That was not where I was going whatsoever.
Go with it.
I
Sorry.
will say this to you right now. Hunter Biggie is going to be one of the best closers in baseball by next year. And I stand on that. I know the Cubs traded him away. We gave him an
Clip it.
opportunity. He wasn't great whatsoever in a Cubs uniform, but this kid's a fucking dog. And one thing Tampa Bay does, they will take any fucking bag boy from Jewel Osco and make him one of the best fucking pitchers in their rotation. That's what they do. So I love that for him. I love how good they're going to be moving forward. Obviously, they have infielders coming out the ass. Until then, man, we'll check you guys out, keeping you up to date, everything Major League Baseball related. You can check out Sheffield Shuffler on all social media platforms. Shefty, is there anywhere else people can check you out, whether that's on different networks or wherever?
It's OnlyFans / Sheffield Shuffler feet.com. If you
100%.
want to be a patron and support my side business.
And what's so interesting about his OnlyFans is he's really articulate with it. I saw one where he was on a CTA train in Chicago. I saw another one where he was at the Bean. It's all just his feet in different places
Yeah,
throughout the
if you
city.
like bug bites, you'll really
Yeah.
love my feet.
Well, man, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to hit the link in the bio below. This episode has been presented by Shefty's Feet. Until then, man, this is Mike Hughes from the Shy Kid Podcast. Check us out on TikTok. Just hit 85K. You hear me? But until then, we are in there like swimwear all the time. Peace.